Mukashi, Mukashi. That's what they say in Japan. A long time ago, in a faraway place of the faraway country that we call Japan, there lived a young family. A father, a mother, and their young daughter. And they loved each other very much. They were very close with each other. They lived in a tiny little place together. They shared one room. They spent all their time together. So it was unusual that at one point the father had to go away for a few days on an extended business trip. And his daughter, she was very sad that her father was leaving. But he promised that upon his return he would bring back something special for her. So the little girl, she could barely wait for her dad to come back. And when he finally returned, she could barely wait for him to have a bite to eat and to rest a moment until he sat down with his wife and daughter and he opened up the big round bamboo basket that he brought back from his travels. And he reached in and he pulled forth a small doll. She had a porcelain face and a beautiful kimono she wore. And the father handed the doll to his daughter and she loved her new doll. And then the father reached in the basket again and he pulled forth a little lacquer box with all kind of sweet cakes and treats in it. And then again, he reached into the basket and he pulled forth a small handheld mirror. And in the back of the shiny metal surface, there were etchings of pine needles and cranes. And the father, he handed the mirror to his wife. And the wife, who'd never seen herself in the mirror, she was wondering who that beautiful young woman was looking at her. And the father explained the mystery. And his wife treasured that mirror for always. And as the years went by, they lived happily together. But then one day the mother got very ill. And when she knew that she soon would be dying, she called her daughter to her bedside. And she said to her girl, "After I die, you will miss me very much. There will be times when you'll feel very alone. But I will promise you that you'll always be able to see me." And then she handed her the handheld mirror that her husband had brought back from his travels. And she told her daughter, "Only look into the mirror and I will promise that you will always be able to see me and talk to me. And that will comfort you very much." And after some time, the mother did die. And as she had predicted, there were many a times when the little girl felt very lonely and missed her mother very much. But then she took her mother's mirror, and as she looked into the shiny metal surface, she looked into what she believed was her mother's face. And it comforted her to see her mother's face once again. She looked young and healthy, not as pain-stricken and filled with worry and sorrow as she last had seen her. And it comforted her greatly. And you must know that after some time, the father remarried. He married a woman who didn't like the little girl very much. And there was often much distance, much coldness in this tiny house in the faraway country place of Japan. And often the girl, she would huddle in a corner and talk to the image of her mother in the mirror, and it made her feel better. And one day, the stepmother, she noticed how her stepdaughter was talking out loud to something, but there was no one around. She didn't like her stepdaughter very much, and she thought maybe she is doing some witchcraft, maybe she's plotting some evil. I have to tell my husband about it. And that evening she told her husband, and when the father came, he went right to his daughter's room, and he noticed that she was hiding something from him in the white sleeve of her kimono. And it was for the first time that the father ever felt a wave of anger rising up in him. He demanded to see what his girl was hiding from him. And under tears, his daughter pulled forth the handheld mirror that her mother had given her right before she died, and also shared with her father the words that her mother had spoken, and how much it comforted her to look at her mother's face and to talk to the image of her mother in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And it was then that the father felt his own grief. And when he told his wife about it, she felt ashamed. And she asked for forgiveness. And after talking to the image of her mother in the mirror, the little girl did forgive her stepmother. And it is said that from that day on, warmth and kindness returned to this home in the faraway place of the faraway country of Japan.